Hello, welcome to the Megan Dauber podcast. I am Megan, and I am grateful you have chosen to join me back here on this podcast where I am just sharing the story of my life and my family's life after Michael sustained an anoxic brain injury in the beginning of 2024, where he is now living with memory loss and loss of cognitive deficits, and our whole world has shifted and we have lost a lot. Things have changed. He looks different. Life looks very different. Everything is just upside down. So I have been documenting pretty much chronologically the story of our life. And at this point in the podcast, we are coming up to the end of the year 2024, where we have just celebrated the holidays and New Year's Eve is around the corner. And I recall New Year's Eve of 2023 going into 2024 as a really special moment. We have this tradition where we've been getting together with our best friends, the Butterfields, over Christmas or New Year's Eve. And we did it that year. And Michael and I had so much healthy anticipation and excitement and joy leading up to 2024. I know I've talked about that in previous episodes. Like, we just had this good energy. We were excited about where we were, what was going on with our life, and moving into 2024 was a big deal. And we have the sweet videos that we captured of ringing in New Year's. I know I've shared that on social media before, and it just was a very precious memory. But now, a year later, coming into New Year's Eve of 2024, about to ring in 25, I remember thinking back to those feelings of the previous New Year's Eve and kind of feeling betrayed by my own emotions, my own hope, my own anticipation, my own joy. Like, that's how I felt last year. And look what happened. Therefore, this year, I'm very weary to walk into a New Year's Eve mindset of going into the new year, because just because I felt a good way didn't lead to anything good happening the next year. So I am dealing with these thoughts of just, again, this like trepidation of walking into what's next. Like, well, there's no point in being hopeful, or there's no point in and having a New Year's resolution. There's no point in anticipating anything, because goodness gracious, I don't even know what tomorrow's going to look like in my family. So that is the landscape of starting this new year. We went back to the Butterfield's house. We did the same things, and it was hard for me. It was a beautiful time. I love being with them. It is a safe, comforting environment. That's always wonderful. But just internally, I'm dealing with, I don't want to set myself up for failure again. I don't want to have another horrible year. I don't even know if I can raise a glass and say Happy New Year to 2025, because wow, we've just been through the ringer. Now, I'm having these thoughts and acknowledging them, but they're not ruling me. I remember being able to go and enjoy myself and push through these fears and thoughts, but they did not overtake me. We had a great night. I remember we celebrated at like 10 p.m. instead of 12 p.m. because Megan and Michael are just tired these days. I couldn't even stomach pushing it till midnight. The kids thought that was horrible and we were disgusting for celebrating earlier, but mom and dad needed to get to bed. That was fun. We'll see what happens this year. Bringing in the new year, turning the calendar to 2025. This was the first season in my life where I didn't have a pulse for what was ahead of me. Really, in every other season of my life, like, I knew kind of what the trajectory of our life looked like, whether I was in school and we were, going to keep working, or whether we were getting married, or after getting married, like starting these jobs or expecting children. This it was blank. Like, I had no vision. I have lost the dreams we were working towards. I have no picture of what our relationship is looking like going forward. There's a lot of turmoil at home. There's just like, it's probably chaos, right? Like this quiet, deep, dark chaos is what my future looked like when I sat and pictured 2025 for myself. Like, I have no idea what it's going to look like. Also, another unknown, I have to find a job. I need a real job at this point. Like, I have been working alongside Michael for the last several years, but it was obvious I needed to take on running the household and providing for our family. But I didn't know what that was. I didn't have the solution. There's a whole slew of jobs that don't work, right? Because I am full-time caregiver, full-time mom, running the house full-time. Where does a full-time job fit in? Can it be in an office? Probably not, because I've got to be available to take him to doctor's appointments and therapies. And what about my children when they need to go to doctor's appointments? And how do I manage this? And like the evening sports time activities, like there were just things where not a lot of jobs made sense. Not a lot of jobs paid enough money. It was scary to try and figure this out. To try to do that in a normal environment is just is hard and scary for someone to look for a new job and not have any idea what the future holds for them. But trying to do that with our circumstance was just like, it's awful. Like it feels so bad. So that's me going into the new year. Michael's still not really feeling emotions, experiencing emotions, can't really project towards the future very well. So he's just like along for the ride, this sweet, sweet man. And in some ways, I carried a little bit of like shame that this is how I was handling the holidays. This is how I was celebrating, because that's not true to who Megan is or has been. Like I love the holidays. I love gatherings. I love celebrations. I love making memories. I love being intentional. I love staying up till midnight. I want to be on the dance floor. I want to go to weddings. I want to go to all the parties. But in this season of like the holidays, I wanted none of that. And so I don't really like who I'm being. I miss the old self. It's just this like this whirlwind of question marks. Like who am I? What's going on? What does the future look like? I don't know. However, I'm those are like my internal thoughts. Like I said, I'm pushing through, able to find the bright spots in each day. Enjoyed New Year's Eve. We turn the page, it becomes January 2025. It's a new year. We are approaching the 1-year mark to Mike's cardiac arrest and brain injury, and the road before us is unknown. Our community group continues to meet every Tuesday night throughout the year. So shortly after New Year's Eve, we all gather together on that next Tuesday. And it was time to open our community group goals time capsule. 2024, Mike Roseberry in our group, he asked everyone, hey, let's come up with goals for ourselves. Let's write them down and then let's tuck them away somewhere in Megan and Michael's house, and we'll see how we did over the course of the year. Now, you can imagine how I felt about looking back at my goals because my year was blown up, right? So but I had remembered my goals throughout the year because some of them were so spot on. And I'm going to share with you what mine were. So, our community group together, we did faith, personal, marriage, parenting, and large group goals. And so we all wrote down, on our own what they were for us. And then we came together and shared them and then tucked them away for the year. And now, the beginning of 2025, we all sat together in our living room and we went one by one and read them and reminded ourselves of what they were and kind of reflected on how we did. How did it measure up to what actually happened? Where can we, what were the highs and lows? And it was just a very beautiful, reflective process. And they saved me and Michael till the end because sweet Michael, oh my goodness, his was so precious. Like he had beautiful goals that he had written out, but he didn't remember it. So like imagine the experience of him getting his paper and seeing it and reading what he wrote with no context, really. Like we laughed and were tearful through it because he had such a good humor about it. But he, they didn't mean a ton to him because he had no way to measure how he did, right? So that was my goals. Mine, my faith goal for myself, I had written down a verse. I had Psalm 27:4 was the year verse that I wanted to focus on, which is one thing I ask of the Lord that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. I was just desperate to be in the presence of Jesus on a daily basis, regularly, recognizing my need for him. And I will tell you that came true every day of the year last year for 2024. So being reminded of that was like, okay, all right, God, I see you. But then I wrote, I want to experience the Lord's presence every day. I want to believe and expect that God will fight my battles. I want to see him move mountains this year. I I don't know if you can remember our story, but I asked in my goals, which is kind of like a prayer journal, right? To believe and expect to see God fighting my battles. Check. To believe that God would move mountains, to see him move mountains. Check. So that is pretty powerful. The things that I asked to see of the Lord that he allowed me to enter in and experience with him. But also, I might really dumb down my goals this next year, like, because be careful what you ask for, right? No, I'm teasing. Personal goals. I will rest and play more. I will release some of my standards of excellence or find ways to eliminate the stress around daily home management. No, I mean, well, I guess in a way, by everything that happened, I totally just neglected home management. So, in a way, I relieved myself of stress, but we exchanged it for some other stress. And I definitely did not rest or play more. So, we win some, we lose some. And then this is the sweetest one. I won't go through all of them, but my marriage goals for myself last year was to find ways to love Michael even better. Like, I loved him before, but I wanted to just pursue what it looks like to love him even better. And the Lord gave me the opportunity to explore those ways over and over again, not in any way that I would expect, not in the way that I thought it would look like, but man, to literally care for him physically, mentally, and emotionally, it's like a sacrificial love that I knew I could do, but really hadn't had to experience. So, kind of cool how my goals over the year, some of them were realized. And I don't know, I think it just reminded me that I am never out of the hand of the Lord. Like, I am always in his watchful care. And though it was filled with pain and tears, I don't hate the Lord for it. I don't regret everything. I don't despise the year that was given to us. No, I don't want to repeat it, but like, I knew that I wasn't alone. But even with that, even still, trying to make those goals again for the year 2025 was like, I just didn't feel ready. Like, I felt again like I'm lacking vision and lacking clarity. I have no idea. I can write basic ones. Yeah. Like, I hope I can rest more actually this year. I hope I can play more actually this year. None of which really actually came. But the idea of creating new resolutions, new goals for myself just was hard because it is coming from a place of like woundedness almost of, I don't know if I can trust this process really. I don't believe that is how I will operate for years to come. I think that is just a natural flow of coming out of grief or coming out of an life altering experience. I don't believe I will always live this pessimistically. I think it will get easier for me to have goals and hopes and dreams and a vision for a future again. But I'm just sharing like it has taken, it definitely took that whole year going into 2025. I didn't feel much better. Like, my grief journey is slow, very, very slow. We're approaching that time again this year where it's time to reflect on all that has happened and look forward to all that is coming. And, I'm still kind of feeling wounded from battle, but I'm going to keep marching forward, but just admittedly not very confidently. Like there's still nervousness about what's around the corner, and I certainly don't have all my solutions and all my ducks in a row, but it's okay. I also don't feel like anybody is rushing me into that place of being okay and being healed completely. And about this time last year, I was still reading through several books at night, and I've talked about Catherine Wolfe's Treasures in the Dark book in the past. And I'm going to do what I do best here and borrow the words of someone else. This is a Megan original, is having nothing original. So I am bringing out the book, Catherine Wolfe, Treasures in the Dark. So this time last year, I was reading her Treasure in the Dark, number 60, What If? And it's this beautiful little story of hers, but she talks about hope at the end of it. And I just want to read the quote to wrap us up here. She says, "Hope is an escape hatch from the what if loop, because it gives you and me permission to live the lives we have. It narrows our vision to work with what's in front of us. Hope puts to rest all of the lives we could have lived and gently reminds us, this is the one you've got. Don't waste it." You could call it resignation, but I call it relief. Each day, you and I can decide to trade those anxious what ifs for anticipatory what ifs. Like, what if none of this was an accident? What if God chose me for this? What if I start living like this is exactly the life I would have chosen? And I had underlined that in the book because those are really big what if questions. What if God chose me for this? What if this is exactly the life I was supposed to live? I love those questions and they're beautiful. And I love that posturing towards what hope is. I love that she says hope is an escape hatch from the nervous what ifs. Hope gives us permission to live the lives that we have. And while I love this, I'm sharing this with you because I am still processing what this means and still moving through this. I don't feel like I have fully graduated from this concept. Like it's still really hard to accept, even though I'm moving in this direction, hard to accept wow, what if this is the life that exactly where I'm supposed to be, exactly how I was intended to live from the beginning. And here we are. That to me makes me a little nervous, like to say, wow, everything's okay then, because Michael was supposed to lose his memory and your life was supposed to get turned upside down. And so let's keep moving forward. I'm not quite through that grieving process yet, but I know that this is true. I know that my hope rests in the Lord. I know He is near. I know He is holding me. I know that my future is secure in Him. I am not supposed to borrow troubles from the future. I don't have to see it all. I don't have to have it all figured out. I just need to trust Him. And I can also have hope in that process. So I'm like halfway there, knowing which direction I'm moving towards. And I want to be there. Hopefully this next year will bring me to that place. But it is a choice for me to choose to participate in my healing and taking my anxiety and moving it into the camp of hope. So that is my prayer over myself. Maybe that's just my entire goal for this next year for myself is let's move into a full attitude and heart posture of hope, knowing that I don't have to have it all figured out, but I have hope in my future here on earth in Jesus. Wow. Thanks for tuning in today. I will give you more of an update next episode on what's going on here, but I hope you'll have a great week and we will be together next time on the podcast.